welcome back to my lovely HP community and the 5D Collective. If you are tuning into this first episode, I'm going to ask you if you want to go to our previous episode because I'm going to pick up from where I left off. And I'm just going to share a story on vulnerability in relationships and love from feminine and masculine. So we have both divine feminine, divine masculine. Masculine feminine is how I, as a 5D mystic, bring it to you. And I am an embodied feminine of my oversoul. Okay, so the previous episode, self-aware, attuning and regulating peeps dash 5D mystics are life partners and most romantic in relationship. The gist of it is that we are emotionally deep and available and smart and empowered people and mystics. Smart because we're stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, as we own our sense of self, and we own our 0 1 year old, all our child parts are uncharged, and we own our state of safety because we are getting to be ourselves mindfully and spiritually by choice. We are non-reactive in the presence of those which we'll call Cuscos. Okay, so when you meet emotionally unavailable or non-securely attached human beings in general and mystics, you're going to know who they are, and that's a Pacha. They're not your life partner, they're not romantic. So it's very clear once you've given me at least 3 interactions that I have a flag with no flag post. So that's the gist of it. Okay, so that's why love is easy, not hard. Heartbreak happens, we process it mindfully because we put into practice mindset skills, mindfulness practices, and the inner growth mindset that I get to bring to you when our subscription-based model content is out in the tiers. If you do one-to-one mentorship, in our masterclass, we go through things, get on the sign-up page, and for spirituality retreats, that's to be continued and decided. But self-aware, attuning, and regulating people, again, and mystics, we love vulnerability. So if I get the opportunity to be open-hearted with you and vulnerable, I will say yes. This is the number one thing. So from this, I want you to understand we're also integrating those of you who have unlocked generosity and you don't have a shield. You have the capacity to see above the fray, and I lost the cards of curiosity and radical acceptance that you will have seen in our other episode, I believe. Okay, your third eye is open. So you have the relationship to your whole self, and for those of us who are mystics like me, I get the honor to share with you all how amazing it is to tap into the sphere of grace, Akash, source, universe, to have a direct relationship with pure consciousness, and it has all of our ancestors, so spirituality in a big melting pot. So if I talk to God, it will have a different energetic imprint than if I am doing an Akashic record reader, and or if I am connecting, if you will, to Akash, or the heart of the sky. Okay, so I can only use these words to explain it to you, and that's because I pick up on the energetic imprint. So it's from my sensations that I speak, and I always try to describe the sensations, and music is one of the ways because it's a frequency, right? And so when I tell you all about I love to love and my baby he loves to dance, that's the rhythm of my ideal frequency. And then groovy kind of love. When I'm feeling blue, all I have to do is take a look at you. Then I'm not so blue. That's another part of my rhythm. And that's soothing my nervous system as if I'm afraid or I'm sad, right? If instead I'm wanting to have a lift me up. I love to love, okay? And here's where romance, if I want also something like this. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket. Never let it fade away. Okay, so that rhythm and blues. We also have others, but my point is that the love, the romance, the softness I'm about to share with you, that's what an embodied, empowered feminine will know, beginning with God and heaven and angels and archangels, and then moving into a mystic with clairs who can also perceive Akash and all Atlanteans, Lemurians, the galactic forces and beyond, to scientists who talk to me about dark matter, dark energy, quantum physics, hard problem of consciousness and numbers and that the matrix thing, so I can bring to you the entirety of this, because whenever I'm learning it, I'm nobody without people who learn things and then teach me, and then for me to share. I am what one will know, and a masculine will know what I am. Like my masculine friend, I'm a vessel, and anyone who's an actual mystic knows that too, but it's not in the way of let me capture you. No, I'm a vessel, and so are you. And that's because, though I have a whole self with a mind that is integrated and a heart that is open and a gut, and this is why the internally number 1 year old, 3 year old, so you being able to be the internally securely attached self. You own your sense of self. That means good therapy for those who need it. No charged 16-year-old leading you. If you say, excuse me, confusing shit to someone, you are a left brainer. If you get curious and you get open and flexible, you're starting to use both sides of your brain. Okay, because both sides of the brain basically are a human being who's empowered. They're being their self. I'm being myself. We're having a good time. So we're more like, okay, let's tease each other about mysticism, which is, I love it. I have my lovely masculines who I love to I love to love, and I love to live, and I love to make fun. So the masculines who are mystics and empowered, like my one masculine friend that I've told you the story, they know what a feminine embodies, because they'll all know we're an inner nurture, but we're also an outer nurture. And we will nurture any of masculines into knowing you have the free will, God, Holy Spirit, to become the most amazing version of yourself. The unconditional love is because I'm in a state of safety. And you gaining self-awareness, accountability, and regulation, and becoming your grown-up is your first stop. The minute that you are not welcoming a state of safety that I am as an unconditionally loving human being, Dr. Daniel Fox, come on in. Imagine somebody looking at a person who's kind, perceiving them as not trustworthy. Peter Levine, come in. Imagine a bird with a broken wing, and as you try to say, I'm going to help you, them going towards the cat in the cave. Patrick Tiahan, come on in, please. Imagine a person not knowing that they keep dating and doing the same shit over and over again because they haven't healed their low self-esteem and direct communication, passive-aggressive manners from codependent type behavior from their unfortunate childhood trauma stuff, and don't know how to love themselves first, but instead keep dating. There's your karma wheel, by the way. So 4D, continue these stories. In the meantime, it's very straightforward. If you don't know Dharma, I know exactly how to spot him. Okay, wait. Come on in. Terry Rio, what's up? Imagine somebody holding themselves and others the same way they got held, and then not noticing, though, that they're not a functional adult. They're not. That they are an adaptive child who is rigid, unforgiving, harsh, because they are still the child version of their self playing out what happened to them at home without a healed human being. And so he does, all these are therapists, by the way. Sadhguru, love the man. Love him to death. Here, I'll use Sadhguru. If you want to make yourself miserable, you have endless opportunities, because always someone will do something you do not like. That's great, but guess what? That gets completely misused in so many ways by these show yourself people. So at the same time, when I am able to relate to you his quotes with restorative embodiment, integrated brain, you can make yourself miserable by not knowing how to use your thoughts and your emotions as thoughts and emotions, and knowing you have not irrefutable facts. Great. Okay, so with that, the awe and wonder is what comes from those of us who know vulnerability in relationships and love. Feminine and masculine I am, but I'm a feminine, and I have my masculines to thank, and my entire oversoul, distorted feminines included, to why I know how to tell you all how it's not something that you get lost in when you're becoming a person who has clairs. So if you're a mystic and you do have clairs, if you have any type of confusion or feelings of loss, I'm going to ask you very politely to take seriously a person like Patrick Tiahan and healing your inner child, so that you can take ownership of your mind, your brain, your inner self, and then your relational self. And so that the time it'll take for you to be seeing yourself, soothing, safe and securing, take all the time that is needed for your somatic, sensory, motor, EMDR, and child parts work to take over, so that you can use the state of safety, then you know how to be yourself. You will enjoy mindfulness practices, mindset, and mindset skills, and you'll enjoy self-help personal development because you'll want to do more flow and bliss, maybe. Because guess what? Into the unknown, unknowns, unexpected, unwanted. So people go into romantic relationships, besides the titles, let's just leave that one alone, with the expectations of an outcome. Love instead anchors in the truth because it is clear of pain, it accepts all and rejects none. The living soul of the world, in all its multifaceted, multidimensional layers, bonded together by loving cosmic forces. All that is, accept all, reject none. And you will have also the clear mirror of self-perception, awareness, accountability, regulation, that you didn't do anything wrong. If a human being doesn't love you with your flaws as a person who has integrity, but basically just doesn't love you, doesn't want you as that, so they reject you, they throw you away. A self-empowered, feminine or masculine, will continue to live life with awe and wonder, and that breath that is taken away by the sacred force that surrounds you and asks for nothing in return is what you're going to find yourself in. And if you share that with another, you will know how to make it your own, because they will not be that safe space. They will not be unconditionally loving, safe haven, secure base for you, depending on a lot of stuff. But what I'm trying to get to is they won't say, yes, I want to be your secure attachment relationship. Okay, so I'm trying to get the words out of my mouth. Secure attachment relationship is what every person wants, at least one individual to be securely attached. So the technical breakdown is that your mammalian heritage will want it. Embodied, empowered feminine here can tell you all about, I don't need that, but I have a twin and I have a mom who raised me in a certain way, and I have chosen to be Maria. Okay, so with that, we don't have tragedy with masculines or distorted feminines in general. Now, let's focus on love and romantic relationships because it's something amazing for a feminine to be able and open up our hearts and our souls and to know that we are sharing it with another. As you can see, the smile. There is something gloriously glorious about having a person get to see every little inch of who you are, because they see you and they see you and they don't reject. So they don't say yuck, 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 yuck. They don't have any of that, because they accept and not reject any of what they are. That's the part of why it's about you being able to be your higher self and your grown up. So when you think of mystics, please remember, for the 5D community that I am building here at IHP, I'm using words my way, building a community. It's going to be empowered feminines and masculines, because we care to build healthy, functional adult relationships that heal trauma. And that means that they're healed people already, and or the ones who are healing with good therapists who are coming. We have new stories. We don't talk about Lucifer or demons, none of that. We got Cusco, Pinocchio. We got fancy man and woman suit, who I won't be making their names. If you ever figure out, again, don't try, because really they serve a purpose. They're here for others. We don't need to go and pick at those who don't want to live the state of safety in their restorative embodiment, because it's a choice they have determined with no free will. They also have God or a good therapist with free will, which is going to get themselves healed. We don't need to demonize or romanticize. So we don't need to give green or red passes to anyone, because the laws are there to keep us also physically safe. Okay, so when I got the opportunity to create a meaningful connection again, I said yes with very little moment to think. So here's the deal. People think because you cried that you have tragedy. You won't have tragedy or feel traumatized if your embodied brain feels good doing emotions and thoughts. On the outside, people won't know what's on the inside. I can tell you what's on the inside. So when you are ruminating, that's why people suffer. I don't ruminate. I know how to use my alert down here. Nope, I use my prefrontal, and I did that all by myself without even knowing that I was doing mindfulness and mindsight and mind sight, all in one. All words that today mean something as I learn from practitioners, as I get certificates, as I support you all. Okay, so I use more words, but really Maria's been doing this. I just thought it was, I have an inner world that I talk and feel. And now I have all the ways to make it sound amazing and fancy, which is still fun. But trying to get it to the masses, let's let people know you have choices. You can keep thinking and feeling in a hard way, like the Zen master, or you can choose something different. So yeah, when I was taken, so there was this moment that this thing happened, and it was where I felt a shatter. It wasn't mine. Okay, so it was shatter though, like glass, and it was between. Let me think. You know how hot and cold when they come together. Okay, so this was not my heart again, because when we are a inner self, we're also a relational self, and we share a relational field. So mystic or somatic empath, because Dr. Daniel Siegel, he's not a mystic, but he has experiences that he talked about in my many courses, and that's why now I know what enmeshing looks like. That's why I've perceived people who are getting off of my panic attacks in disgusting ways, and they don't take themselves to, get out of pseudo alive and yucky torture chamber stuff. Just saying, it's not fun for me to think of individuals who support unhealthy ways, because the threat and life threat nervous system is not healthy for your body, and there's totally support for all of that. So good therapists support you with somatic sensory motor, again, EMDR and child parts work. The ones who don't like to be given the opportunity to be in their state of safety, that's why we don't need to talk about them as bad. No, the fancy lady in suit, they're imprisoning us. That's how they feel. Cusco, actually, this is Diego's family. Diego's family wants to keep being Diego's family without any of the other characters Ice Age. So vulnerability in relationships and love is a groovy kind of love. When I'm feeling blue, all I want to do is come and talk to you, and that doesn't change. That's what vulnerability means. Man, woman, they, doesn't matter. I will want to always feel this way. This is what a safe haven, secure base. Because safe haven, number one, all I want to do, and if you don't like these sounds, again, please don't judge them, but I'm going to say, take a look at how much compassion, unconditional love, and babying, and how okay you are with being vulnerable. Because I have no shame of crying, being angry, none of it. So I'm okay with feeling like an inner child, because why would I be ashamed? Also, our child parts, they stay alive. So mine are in charge because I don't judge them. Which is why if I have somebody who actively talks down to me, talks to me like I'm dumb, minimizes the level of sensitivity that I have, meaning that they actively think, oh, you shouldn't cry about that. But they don't just think it, they actively respond with a nervous system like that. Yeah, you're not going to be the one at all. You're out, you're not a safe haven. I'm not going to come to you the next time I want to be reassured. And if you flip it back and forth and on and off, I'm still not going to come to you, because now I know that you're not reliable. If I get you in a good mood, you're going to be groovy kind of love. If I get you in a shitty mood, you're going to twist it and turn it and actually be a Cusco. I don't need that. I actively can reassure my own self very well. So I can do the groovy kind of love without you, because I have grace. I have that restorative embodiment self. I am aware of me mindfully. I am with God. I am with, if you don't talk about it as God, you'll know if therapists giving you resources. They will always ask, who's your resources? I know that too. So God, Jesus. Okay, but for me, they're not resources, because I'm a mystic and in spirituality. So they are, I honor them. I honor all of my upbringing in Maria's way. Obviously, we know others don't believe that mystics honor anything, because we're Reiki practitioners, Akashic record readers, tarot card readers, and so much more. So if you make me feel in any way, shape, or form unsafe, my 0-1-year-old, you're off the list, because I don't want to live with you, because especially a person who has panic attacks and who is sensitive, you know what I mean? So that's not romance. That's going to be a day in I don't want you. And so it's really great for me to know all these pieces of information to share with you, and for me to know that it stays for future generations, at least as long as I'm allowed to keep it on, because the IHP content is here for all people. And I think of the future generations, and I want them to know that healthy love is easy and it's not hard, and their 0 1 year old does live with them, and they have a right to want a groovy kind of love versus the ones who don't understand it. We're not going to ever forget our reptilian nervous system. It serves to protect us from lions, bears, and tigers and physical catastrophes, which we don't really want people to live in. We're not supposed to be using our threat response with each other. And so the human beings who think they know love, but they want to bring in their humbug, no, go to therapy first. Then talk to me, a healthy self-worth woman, about love, because you don't know it yet. And if you're going to talk about me as being too much or too little or whatever, yeah, go again. So the part about it's not about me saying, oh, how dare you either. So I've been told by people, you know what, I think you're keeping me on the hook on purpose, because anxious attachment people do this shit. And they don't go and check themselves into a therapist to get out of that. No, they continue with this shit, with friends, with lovers, you name it. I will always take an avoidant 100 times more than an anxious, because they will shut you out. I don't like that they shut me out, but you know what? I don't actively have to consistently repeat myself and say, what test? I don't test that. That's ridiculous. Why would I test you? What kind of a relationship are you in? And not actively, they don't believe you, because they're going to make up stories in their head about every time they're ruminating. So this has happened with people, not my partners. No, I don't have any masculines that do this type of let me accuse you. In fact, actually, I have one human being who did this. They said, well, it's because, you didn't do XYZ. They weren't a partner. Yeah, it's not a partner, but it's part of my oversoul. And as they're doing this shit, I know the truth of what went down, okay? So I'm watching them, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Because they're also armored in. So this is a sad day for me. They're armored in. They're still the person, but they're armored in shut. They didn't free their inner child. They didn't get themselves back online. No, they just did, that movie The Mask with Leonardo DiCaprio. So the inner child, like that fancy man in a suit, is all covered up, and they're going to continue to do what they're doing. So meantime, though, they're telling me that it's my fault, and I'm like, even if I wanted to believe you, don't you think you learned something out of this lesson? And it was something along the lines of not to assume. So when people make assumptions and then they don't hear people out, that's unhealthy self-worth people. Healthy self-worth human beings, they talk to you, okay? So again, it's not fun to have any of emotionally unavailable people. They're not in love, and they're not in a relationship that will be vulnerable, at least not what I'm talking about here. So I'm talking here about those of us who take ownership of our mental, emotional, physical plane. And so again, groovy kind of love, and I will know that even though I will have had those experiences of the not emotionally available people, I won't say no to when I'll show you a whole new world. Do you trust me? Okay, and so we don't say no. That's all I'm trying to get to you all to understand in this specific episode. We'll continue to talk about this one because it's on the menu for our themes, but also because feminine, masculine, all counterparts, the ones who are consolidated in their true self, they are the ones who get to embark on this amazing journey, as we do right here with IHP content. It's easy to love. It doesn't get harder, no. Like I said, when I got the opportunity, this is what happened. So I'm like, okay, because the experience I was telling you all about is something that was very clear to me what was going on, who it was involving, what it was involving. Fact is really fucked up shit, but it's in the most amazing of ways. So in the meantime, yeah, my heart went to like universe and back and all this, and I have some channeled messages for people at that time. But today what I can say is that this minute that I got the first download, I was like, okay, here it is. You're going to be rolling out with shit. And I was like, okay, wait, do I want to take a leap of faith? Not really sure. Should I? Oh, come on. What fun would life be without you doing shit? So there you go. And then you continue to build relationships. So recalibration is what happens for an empowered feminine. Of all of our oversoul relationships, they all stay within air, even the one who's armored in. Hopefully, though, they won't come up too much, because really, I don't think they will, but if they ever did, I know how to handle them because, again, it's only a 3 year old with a human being who's behaving on a pattern. If there's one thing that's really sad, it's not the, again, so one, vulnerability in relationships and love, you'll say yes. Every time it has to be a true, genuine relationship. So I'm going to spell this one out. I'm not a masculine, I'm a feminine. The feminine will know. And she will know immediately. And it isn't about I have to have the exciting energy. No, 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 no. Actually, good therapists will explain to you the difference between visceral and when instead there's, well, they don't believe in that heart to heart connection that I'm talking to you about because they'll talk to you a lot more practically, right? Because they're more technical. But I have noticed the distorted feminines, they do fall within the stereotypes that I heard from some of the good therapists of the fantasy. And so do the masculines who are not with an empowered feminine. So what I'm going to say is emotionally unavailable. Masculines and feminines, they have the fantasy. They're drugged on this runner chaser dynamic because they really aren't ready and they're afraid and they don't go to therapy. So they just live out other things. Doesn't mean good or bad. We see plenty of couples like when it's hard to love. So that to me, that's not love. Okay? Okay. So the 5D collective that's going to stick around, we know I love to love, and my baby, he loves to dance, and he loves to live, and he loves to love and laugh and learn and expand and not cast stones, and he loves to surprise me because I love to surprise him, and that's because we're creative. So the creative part is because we actively have so many different ways that we think of how we can mesmerize, which I know some people say you get old, so you get, yeah, no. I mean, if you have kids, you get busy, right? With work, you get busy. But a couple, whether monoamory, monogamous, or polyamorous, and not polygamous necessarily, remember, please, some of us are not interested at all in that. And I'm not kidding with you all. Please remember, we are not masochists. And no, we don't do, you're not poly enough. Those individuals who create suffering don't know love yet. They don't know how to love themselves first. Okay, so the ones who are in the fantasy, they don't understand that fantasy. No, they can understand it, but they're not willing to take the leap of faith because they're afraid. It's okay, they don't have to. But if they only talk to themselves in a objective way, with all the data that's online, they would be able to have a better relationship with themselves and then to not be disappointed. Okay, so we don't do fantasy. That's why with twin flames, for example, the ones that I got to consult with, and these are friends, not consult in a one-to-one mentorship way, consult in, they asked, we discussed, they actively could have gone a very different way had they listened to the guidance that got shared with them. They didn't, and that's all I'm going to say. For empowered feminines, we know that every step of the way, we are being given consistently the opportunity to expand. So the worst part of it is only a very, I don't remember what length of time, but it's only because you trust your masculine. So by trusting, what I mean is you think you can bring vulnerability to them. You think you can bring open communication to them. You think that they will hear you out and talk to you. So you are under the impression and the illusion that because you're part of each other, that you will be heard and seen and soothed and safe to have a conversation is all. I mean, that's the part of why it always makes me laugh with the twin flame and flames, because nothing is different than anything else. All of your relationships and the part of disappointment and then the part of having overestimated, we realize that that's also unfair because you don't overestimate. You just have a different communicative and way of wanting to live love life, right? So you come to arrive at I accept all, I reject none, and I'm able to see that this is how I love and how I want to be, and that I'm the one who thinks of them as the one in that way that I will have thought of it. And so you are not in any kind of dilemma. And for the clairs also, because you're not needing to distance them from you. You are actively, physically mastering your mastery of the physical plane, which means your mastery of your own relationship with Akash and all that surrounds you. That's why you will go in only at the, well, it was once I finally disengaged from all the 4D people that chit chat about bullshit. Also disengaged from anyone who's just using a narrative. And that's when I also began to learn about attachment trauma. And I'm like, okay, wait, okay. Now, okay, got it. And so I began to just know, okay, all humans, they're either emotionally available or not. Period. That's all I can tell you. So it's not devastating. And the part that's funny is that when I look to the past, I gave myself little moments where I would be able to just see how much I have been able to be amazed by all of masculines, all of feminines. So to be able to process things in time, that's actually part of integration. It's part of growing the fuck up emotionally, mentally, and physically. That's why I can bring to the sciences, but it's not just the words, because the words are what people are not understanding. Why someone will talk to you about toxic positive, and why I can say I'm always positive but I know negative, but I'm always positive and I'm always on, and some will say you're a liar and they will think that you're distorting. So this is the having the capacity to be able to bring to you more than one spectrum, and trying to do so on purpose for my lovely self-empowered, enlightening, and infinite higher human conscious potential people. So mystics don't get derailed, the 5D type. We also do not insult the masculine's journey or the distorted feminines, because we'll figure out that that's their choice. And that's it. It's none of my business how you choose to be in your life. You get to choose. I get to see if I can work with it or not. And no, you won't be a lover of mine if you don't know how to be a groovy kind of love. Because that's it. You don't know love at all. You don't know your 0-1-year-old. You're not able to soothe your own self in the appropriate manner, because you have a shitty relationship with emotions because somebody gave it to you, not because you wanted it. However, you have no regard to get yourself to be not shitty to your 0-1-year-old. So I know that you are being shitty to your own self emotionally, which makes me know you're not actually any kind of emotional, romantic anything. So yeah, I'm bringing, again, different ways for you to understand an exploration of a person who can tell you all about all my child parts, and none of them need to be shamed by anyone because they didn't do anything wrong, because they're children and they feel and they're here. And no, I don't talk about my parts like that, but I've had enough of the education to know, thanks Dr. Daniel Siegel, as he puts it, yourself once it's whole. You don't say my 0-1-year-old wants a hug or my 3-year-old. But when he mentioned that, I'm like, now that I think about it, now some would say, they put it in your head, Maria. You know what? People can keep talking all they want. In the meantime, though, as a person, I will not be welcoming somebody who doesn't know how to welcome my vulnerability and to make it all better like a boo-boo. Because at the end of the day, I don't need you to be crappy in any way, shape, or form towards emotional sensitivity. That's all. I mean, the reality is, and I'm a woman, so there, I can use that as a justification to be a whiner. What can I say? I don't like gender stereotypes, but I'm just saying, if I have to, although it's bullshit. But what I love about love, and what I love about when I got the opportunity to welcome everything that is a true, genuine connection, and that's just the most amazing. The rainbow heart that I got gifted. And the rainbow heart that I got gifted has a whole story from one of the many downloads that I got about the lives that I've shared with the person from the past. And it makes sense to a person who knows their own oversoul, why out of your oversoul, each of them will have brought in you a gift. So masculines bring us gifts, distorted feminines bring us gifts, our brothers and sisters bring us gifts, and they are all beautiful just the way they are. And if they want to be empowered feminines and empowered masculines, they can do so. If they don't want to be, they don't have to be so, because they have the laws in our lovely grounded earth We got flat earthers, people. So I'm bringing it human style again. That's why feminine. We won't say our masculines are assholes for too long, like my facade friend, in a way of being upset. No, we will understand. No, no. Our masculines, like our distorted feminines, are consciously choosing to lack the self attunement, self awareness, self regulation, and their safety system, their social engagement with me, a human being who has a social safety system on as I am engaging with what is a caring, loving connection that I trust. So they are consistently choosing to be in threat and life threat and in their facade as they engage with me, or to switch it up to their pleasing whenever they go through a mood swing. Which is why I will be learning the pattern like the back of my hand, and I will have recalibrated every single one of all relationships that I have chosen as a feminine to embark on, due to the fact that I don't choose to shake your hand and say I love you, or allow myself to say, hey, I want you to be a part of my herd in general. Okay, so it's actively out of that word friendship, that word love, that word relationship, that we will have said, I didn't say yes in the absence of knowing what I was saying yes to. You be you and I be me. And that's great, and we're in good company. So learning how to harness one's own inner child is really easy for those of us who are embodied, empowered feminines, and we come, again, some with Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, and then clairs. And as Akashic record readers, we don't cut cords. We also aren't afraid of people in our in our area. No, actually, they're really, I'm just going to say, let's leave that one alone for some other time. As for our twin flame and or flames and or soulmates, we will know of what they bring to us. They will not know anything, because that's the other part. The embodied, empowered feminine won't be telling them much by the time I know how we're recalibrating. If you are welcoming of aspects that are mine, I will also be able to notice when and how and to what level and depth and da. So the recalibration is not where I'm going to have a relationship that lacks depth or that lacks talking. The minute that I'm needing to recalibrate, you lack a level of depth with me, and that's because there will be a level of inconsistency on your end, and I will know now that I have a masculine or distorted feminine. Okay, so that's where that recalibrates. I'm not going to be yay, nay, practiced enough. It's just, okay, I gave it a shot, and it didn't move into where we could have gone. And that's why, so for, again, mystic, what I'm going to say is, with my oversoul, this is something very normal, rolling it out. With people who don't have an oversoul like this, what I could say is, simply put, you either will have realized you share the same level of emotional depth, or you will have noticed you don't. And so with securely attached man, woman, or they, it's going to be a straightforward, okay. For the ones who are more on the technical side, I'm assuming they just shut people out or close it off. I enjoy all my relationships. So when I go into any relationship, I'm not going to cut you out of my life. I'm going to know that we work together as, XYZDFG. And I'm going to have my relationship work out, because that's what an empowered feminine is. I am a nurturer at heart. Like my 5D masculine friend pointed out, will you say no if there's all those people down there? You caught me, but I know what I'm doing. So the truth is that you won't cut brothers and sisters out of your, again, a figure of speech, but you won't be cutting people out. You will build different types of relationships. Obviously, we all know some you get out of touch, or if you want, mathematically speaking, sciences says you can only maintain a certain amount of actual relationships, right? Okay, so when people want to get technical, I can bring it in. And what I'm going to tell you, though, as a feminine, is that we won't be going around thinking of our lovers and or potential lovers and or lover that way. We won't be going around thinking of our friends or our family or any caring connection that way, meaning that we have an end of that contract. Okay, that's not, no. We will know with blind faith and God and Akash, and not playing God and not playing big, that we know all. That's why an empowered, embodied, enlightened feminine will not be playing a role that is where I see some of them doing that. when it comes to, again, their oversoul. I'm going to try and make sure to remind myself I'm keeping it focused on our relationships. And so I've seen the ones who give people this needed beginning and end. If you need a beginning and end, that's your left mode. Continuing to not handle with the right mode in the mindfully, spiritually aware, accountable, regulating brain of yours and mind and self, your prefrontal and awareness, I don't know how long it will last or not. And to not suffer it. That's why the Zen Master's Laundry. This is also why I spell out to nobody has to be where I'm talking about. I am here and I'm sharing what an embodied, empowered, enlightened, and enlightening feminine will have. Never forget when I was opened up to more. The Kundalini awakening and the capacity to share it and not have any of what I shared being heard. That actually was very saddening, and that's because it was a most fabulous 15 minutes that I shared from my voice to be heard by another human being who didn't even bother to say why they weren't hearing it, what they were doing. No, none of it. So once you do that once or twice, but again, like my facade friend, remember, because that's why it's no different. Doesn't matter which part of your oversoul is. When I will share something that is of the mystic plane, you can just say, no, I'm not interested, which I have had people, and I appreciate that. Because they're like, that's good. It's a good way to do it versus just leave something unsaid, or like my facade friend, don't say anything, and then I come to find out that, honesty is only going to be possible when a person is able to be their authentic self and isn't afraid to speak up their thought and their emotion, and then to share with a caring connection. I find this stupid, but in a nice way, because I find it stupid, meaning this is not of my interest, not I actively in my thoughts and emotions know without any shadow. So this is the different. When you hang out with differentiated self people, you'll know, because they are silly together. We use different words. Again, the words stupid, not stupid, don't make it into like, oh my god, but you'll know when somebody is instead in the talking down about it. And so yeah, open to love is always fun, but with the emotionally available people. With the non-emotional available people, you just learn to leave it alone, and the more you grow up, really, the more you know. And it's not even about growing up. We're actually in a better time right now. That's why we have good, smart attachment trauma educators out there. So remember, mystic or not, we love to love, and we love to dance, and we love to live and love and laugh, and that's how it works. So feminine, she doesn't lose any type of hope. No, she doesn't. And she doesn't get mesmerized by fantasies more than once, because we all have the immaturity as we're growing up. Okay, so as you're growing up, you're going to begin to notice, okay, no fantasy, groundedness. And so you know how to gauge. That's how a healthy self-worth gut isn't made in one day. It's made as you continue to choose being yourself. You choose authenticity. You choose flaws. You speak up. You get nervous. You get shy. You get this. You get that. But you don't close this. You don't say, I'm only going to give you 80% because I've been brokenhearted before. Might as well go to therapy, work through that. Go when you're ready to be open-hearted again, because you're putting on another person something that really, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're vibing it. You obviously are choosing to use the mouth with a person who you don't know necessarily will stick. So the part about using that which is out there for people to be able and easily love, I see so many disregarding it and doing something that is more of the movies, And so some of us can learn to be more loving because we have that imprint. Others get a bit of a support, and then we all come together here, all lovers, all happy, and to share some more of it. So in the meantime, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Have a good one.